How's it going, everybody? Kenton J. Moore here, and the topic of the day, Mead. Today is the 1 year anniversary since we launched The Road to Bone Hill, a journey into the modern renaissance of mead making, which was my memoir slash instruction manual on the everything I went through from COVID-19 to learning mead making as an art because of a bucket of my parents' honey, to moving up here to the North Thompson Valley, trying to start the Bone Hill Meadery alongside my parents, and all of the successes and the failures and the wins and the losses that happen over that basically 3 year span of time. Um, I just kind of wanted to share a bit of the journey, what's over the last year, like what's been going on in the world of this book, as well as what's been happening with Mead and in terms of my life. I mean, the first and the biggest sad news, I guess, is Tugwell Creek, the meadery outside Souk, British Columbia, featured in the book when Corbin and I went to see it for the first time. They've sadly gone out of business. They were the first meadery ever to operate in British Columbia. They opened in 2003. The owners, Bob and his wife, Liptrot, they decided they wanted to retire from what I've been able to gather, and they closed and they've put their property up for sale, and they've now left the market, which is sad, but it's indicative of what's been happening in the industry as a whole too, and not just mead, but wine and liquor in general. For us here, we've had some health issues that have come up amongst our family, and we've kind of really taken a step back from alcohol as a world in its entirety. We're not, like we were never really big drinkers to begin with, anyways. I especially wasn't. A little bit of binge here and there, being an ex-sailor, I kind of got all that party out of me a long time ago. So I used to make the mead only mostly just to share it and to experiment and to experience that culinary adventure of finding flavors and things that people said, "Don't do it, it's not going to be good." And then I did it anyway, and it was delicious. Like this one right here. This one here. This was the Orchard Wildfire Spice Mead. It's mentioned in my book. This was a nectarine, apricot, and peach mead originally, that I then added chipotle peppers to in secondary, and in a infusion of habanero peppers and a little bit of vodka. So this is a very spicy mead. It's got a smoky kind of flavor to it. My brother and I, during a visit to Grand Prairie, discovered it makes some of the best Caesars we've ever had. It was really good. Um, you know, but it's one of those things where everybody was like, a spicy mead, that doesn't make any sense. How could that be good? Well, it was. And that's what I loved about mead making, which you can read all about in this book, The Road to Bone Hill. And it's just been so much going on. Like we finally got around to getting a batch on with some blueberries we bought from a local farm last year. Turned out really good. I went to an archery competition in Kamloops, like a weekend there, and I set up a vendor's booth for Wiley's Buzz Farm, and we had some of the meads up there just for tastings and sharing with people and all that. And I had I think it's called White Owl, vanilla spiced whiskey. Guy came by the table and was like, "Oh man, we should try a shot of this in there." And we put a shot of that into the blueberry mead, and it tasted like a cupcake, which was dangerous. And I spent all the next day hungover. Mind you, I was sleeping in my Jeep too, so there was that. So mead and alcohol in general is always synonymous in a sense with adventure, and that with us. But we've kind of closed that chapter of the book. I think we're really starting to move on. The story ran its course. we realized that the meadery wasn't going to solve the problems that we had here. Um, the problems run a little bit deeper than what starting a big expensive business was going to be. And as mentioned in the book, at the end of the day, going a couple $100,000 into debt to get a business going that you then can't even sell a product on the market for a year afterwards, it just wasn't viable. It wasn't a viable business plan. It was a very sad loss. And the road to Bone Hill, like the book, was cathartic to write it. It was a very cathartic adventure writing the book, not just because of the meadery, but as somebody put it, I experienced four deaths that really shook me in a span of a very short time. My grandfather, my father, one of my closest high school friends, and the meadery itself. It takes a lot out of a person when you need all of the energy you can get. I mean, starting any business is a hard venture. Starting a meadery business, an alcohol manufacturing business in British Columbia, of all places, with its draconic bureaucracy and just the ridiculous hoops you have to jump through here, especially the cost involved. It was too much. It was too much. And what I learned from the journey, especially from Bone Hill, was that some passions, some things that you love to do, are never meant to become a career for you. And at the end of the day, what the experience of the meadery did, what the road to Bone Hill actually led to, was a complete resurgence in my love for storytelling and for writing in general. It brought me right back. And in the last year, I've focused for the first time in my life almost all of my energy on writing. And since then, I've released and published three whole new books that came out on the market. I re-released Legend of the Sunlight Prince first. I wrote and released Road to Bone Hill 1 year ago today, and I wrote and released the collection of short stories Dark Below the Ice on Halloween last year, which spent 72 hours on the number one in three categories on Amazon's bestseller list, which was amazing. Quite the achievement. Marketing more so than anything else, as I found when the sales numbers started to drip in. um, am i am I problem solved? No, not at all, not even close. I still have to work just as hard as I've ever worked. And we still face the same challenges as we did every day. But the difference is now I have legacy. I have achieved something that I've wanted to for a very long time. I'm known for something now, multiple things if you include the mead making and everything too. And it's establishing myself. It's establishing my name, who I am, leaving something for my kids behind that they can take on and enjoy and be proud of themselves, after I'm gone. So in a sense, the road to Bone Hill never led to a meadery, but the road to Bone Hill led me to where I needed to be. And that's the whole point of the story. That's the magic of all of it, and there's this pride that comes with seeing something you created in a glass like this. By the way, the Silk Road Metheglin here, which is the saffron ginger grains of paradise mead that I made, sent it off to competition, and it didn't really get a lot of awards. I didn't medal. Believe it or not, the spicy mead had a much higher score. I believe the guy called it a salsa in a glass, and he was here for it. He was not what he was expecting, and he loved it. So here we are, Road to Bone Hill, 1 year anniversary today. Big news coming this year. I mean, if you haven't already, go to my website, which just launched a little while ago. Subscribe to my mailing list. You'll get all the news that's coming out. And here we go. Cloudbreakers Valen coming this fall. I got two appearances this year too, one at CamCon and one at Enderby LitCon. So There we go.